Hi, I'm Pastor Steve, and I'm going to be taking over the Wednesday Word for a while with a few other guests. I hope that you find these midweek encouragements really helpful to your everyday life. You know, we have this motto at Hope Chapel that when faith meets life, hope happens. And the meaning behind that motto is that we hope the spiritual truths that you learn make sense to your everyday life. And so when you apply spiritual truths from God's Word, whether that's to your finances or to your relationships or to your parenting, to your marriage, those things, when you apply them to those areas and aspects in your life, it should cause blessings. Things should be better when you apply spiritual truth in God's Word to your life. You know, I was on sabbatical, as many of you know, in July. It certainly wasn't how I had planned and expected, like so many things in our life. Most of the time, I was at home with my 4 kids and a dog, and there was not too many moments to find to just meditate and sabbat, as you can imagine, and as many of you understand. But I did find some significant time to read God's Word and to spend time in prayer. I read through the entire book of Matthew, and I'm now in the middle of Jeremiah, which Matthew is way more encouraging so far than the book of Jeremiah, but so much necessary to read and to contemplate what God is still speaking through those things. I did a few house projects, and I also found myself picking up a lot of sticks. I was trimming some branches off some trees, but also just constantly picking up sticks. In our front yard, we have a few maple trees, and these maple trees seem to shed twigs all spring and all summer. I'm not sure if that's normal. They seem to be healthy trees, but constantly me or the kids were picking up sticks. And of course, we had some storms roll through that caused even more branches and sticks and twigs to fall to the ground. Now, there's a couple ways that I could approach this issue. One is that I could just pick up the big sticks and allow the mower to dice up and chop the smaller sticks. I could also just leave all the sticks where they are and say, this is nature's art museum. Look how wonderful nature is and how they fell down, and I should just leave them as God has designed them. Or I can just simply ignore them and hope that they are not really there and hope everyone else sees that they're not there. Or I can just keep picking up the sticks, even the small ones, several times a week. Now, the advantage of picking up the sticks and twigs is that now we have something to start a fire pit and to make some s'mores. You know, you can make a fire with bigger branches and logs, but it's a little harder to do so without fire starter or some type of stimulus. But with the small twigs, we can get a nice fire going and add some of the bigger branches, and we can enjoy some family time with some s'mores. And I think that is a little bit of things in our own life. We all have things that we wish could be better, things that we can enjoy in life. And whether that's our relationships or with our kids or with our finances or our work or whatever it may be, there's things that we know that we would like for them to be better. Maybe it's our relationship with God. And with those things, it all takes some work. It takes time and effort as well as God. I like how Proverbs chapter 12, verse 11 says, the one who works his land will have plenty of food. The one who works his land will have plenty of food. That makes sense. But whoever chases fantasies lacks sense. But whoever chases fantasies lacks sense. Well, you know, if you've got a garden, you know what it takes to clear the land, to clear out the rocks, to maybe get the grass out of there, plant the seeds and water and pick the weeds. And man, if you want food from a garden, you know that it takes work. And if you don't have a garden, it's just like saying, oh, I wish I had a garden. I wish that I could have some fruit and food from a garden. But I didn't have one. So we got to work at it if we want a particular result to happen. Now, Proverbs 14:23 says something similar. It says, all hard work brings a profit. Wow, that is such a great promise from God's word. All hard work brings a profit. You're going to put effort into something, there is going to be a profit at the end of it. Thank you. I don't want to be doing things for no reason. I want to know that it's for a purpose. Well, all work brings a profit, but mere talk leads to poverty. Well, there's a promise in that verse, but there's also a warning. Love the first part. Take heed to the second part as well. Mere talk leads to poverty. What is it that in your life that you would like to see things a little bit better? Maybe it's financial stability. Maybe it's in your marriage. Maybe it's in your own personal spiritual walk with God. Maybe it's that you would like your kids and grandkids to have a deep spiritual relationship with God. And whatever it is, we know that it's going to take work. It doesn't happen merely because we're dreaming about it. Oh, this is what I wish it would be like. It doesn't just happen because, one day we get after it and we just spend a lot of time investing in whatever it is that we want to see change, and then that's it. It takes time and effort and God. It's not that we can just work hard at it and not think about what God has to say about how to do it, or that we're even trusting in God to take what we're doing and to cause the increase. We can plan, we can do what we can do, but it's God who brings the sun and the rain and causes these things to grow. He's the one who causes our marriages to strengthen. He's the one who causes stability in our finances when we do them God's ways. He's the one who can work in our children and our grandchildren. And without Him, things are going to fail. It can't be only our effort, but it also can't be only God. We've got a part in the responsibility as well. And so my encouragement for you this week is to think about 1 or 3 things and write them down so that you're very specific and you're very intentional about it, and say, what are 1, 2, 3 things in my life that I really like to see better? Maybe it's a relationship. Maybe it's your finances. Maybe it's your work. Maybe it's just your spiritual walk with God. And then I'd like for you to spend at least 5 minutes 3 times this week working specifically on those areas. So if it's in your area of finances, spend 5 minutes 3 times this week looking at what does God say in His Word about finances. What does He have to say about spending and saving and giving? What does He have to say about work? And maybe you got to spend some time with God talking about your work. Hey, God, I don't really like my work. Can you help me find joy in my work? And maybe God will allow you to see how there are blessings about you working where you're working. The s'mores. Allow Him to reveal the s'mores, the good stuff about working, picking up the twigs. Maybe it is in your area of relationships, maybe with your kids. Maybe you want them to have a stronger relationship with God. And so spend 5 minutes 3 times this week talking to them about God and His Word. Maybe just pick a verse, pick one of these verses and say, what do you think this verse has to say? And allow them to explore those things. With one of my children, as I was reading through Jeremiah, I said, look at Jeremiah 13 verse 2. It's so silly. Why does God say such silly things so that He can get our attention? And you can look that one up and read that to your kids. And so just spend some moments with your kids talking about spiritual things. Or maybe it is strengthening your marriage. And so dedicate 5 minutes 3 times this next week, just spending time with your spouse without distractions. I know that's difficult, but you can do it. And just listen to them. And I encourage you to do that within 5 feet of each other. And maybe as time goes on, you could even sit next to each other and maybe even give one another a hug or to hold hands while you're spending time together. It's this time and this effort with God that can make a true blessing in your life. And it's not just going to happen in one day because you spent some time significant doing it. It's going to take some time for you to see s'mores happen in those areas and those aspects in your life. Well, that is my encouragement for you. I hope that you really spend time thinking about what are those things, and then spend time seeking God about what you need to be doing and what He can do in those areas in your life. Well, God bless. Have a great week. We'll talk to you soon.